Hey, it's been a while. I thought I'd give you my thoughts on President Trump's State of the Union address last night. First of all, I think the president was spot on. That's what I love about the man. He tells it like it is. He doesn't pull punches. That's why the Democrats hate him, because he doesn't think or talk like a normal politician. And he's not. He's not a politician. He was a businessman before he first ran for office. A lot of people forget that, in the early days, he was friends with a lot of the Democrats, and they had no problem with him. If he had ran as a Democrat and be doing the stuff he's doing, they would love him to death. But because he's acting on the Republican side of things, they're against him. Now on to the State of the Union. First, you had a large group of Democrats who boycotted, didn't show up for the State of the Union, which tells me these individuals don't care about the American people they're supposed to represent. They should be there listening to every word that he's saying. Next, you had a couple who walked out in the very beginning. The one was a member of Congress, can't remember what his name was, but he's from Memphis. He's the one during the last State of the Union who had to be thrown out by the Sergeant of Arms because he was making a nuisance of himself. The one that stayed behind, the only one who was anything, was Fetterman. Actually shook the president's hand. You had the two, I'll call them the two ugly witches, who they heard something they didn't like and they were heckling the president, which is childish behavior. You're supposed to be representative of the citizens of the United States, and this is how you act. The one had a button which said, I won't say the word, but it said basically said F ICE. Really? That's like you're in junior high. It's like you're supposed to be acting, like civilized human beings. There's only a few times when President Trump was addressing the nation that he mentioned a couple things where even he was surprised when he saw Democrats standing up. Aside from that, he was going balls to the walls. He was dead on. And the thing, I say the highlight of the State of the Union was two things. One, when he gave not one, but two Congressional Medal of Honors. One to the pilot who flew the helicopter into Venezuela to get that dictator out of there. The man was shot multiple times in his leg, and he did not stop the mission. Once he got on the ground, he told the co-pilot, okay, you can take over from here. So I was pleased to see him get that award. The second was from a man who's almost 100 years old, who served in not just one, but 3 wars. World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. This Navy captain was given the Congressional Medal of Honor, and I think that was an awesome thing. And to have the First Lady do it was just incredible. What I thought was funny was when the president said, these people are crazy, referring to the Democrats, because there's nothing he could say that would get them to get up on their feet. They would not stand for the men's hockey team who won the gold in the Olympics. They would not stand for that. They would not stand for the two people who were getting Congressional Medal of Honor. They would not stand for the little girl who was, her and her father were run over by a tractor trailer which was driven by an illegal. They would not stand for the parents of the girl who was killed, stabbed on the train, the subway train. And most importantly, he says, and he's actually pleading with them, he's giving them a chance to show who they're supposed to represent. He said, will you stand to show that it's the American people is supposed to be your first priority over illegal immigrants? And they wouldn't stand. If I was someone who supported the Democrats, I wouldn't be voting for them again. I'd be voting them out of office. They have no place being in office if their first thing is not to take care of the American people. And then the follow-up, when they have the Democratic response from this woman governor from Virginia, and just because she was a CIA agent at one point, she's supposed to be tough doo-doo or whatever, and she's doing everything she can to make the president look bad. I tell you what, I would not move to Virginia right now if you gave me the property and said there was no property tax or nothing. Not if they're going to have people like that leading the state of Virginia. Overall, I think the president did a bang-up job. And that's all I'm going to say about that.